Setting up. I am totally going to update my intro in the next few months. But you guys, it is episode 41. It is the second to last video of the year, and I've got some of my friends coming back. We're going to review all the stuff that's happened in the past year. I will say that this is maybe like the kind of the end of the second season of the show, which I'm super happy. It's like 41 episodes, almost 22. I can't add right now. That have gone on in the last couple of years, and we're going to go again. And I've got already a lineup set up all the way through April of next year. So I'm super excited, but let me really quickly introduce everyone. Should we just do this? Let's do this in a way where everybody can introduce themselves because I think some of us, we were just, as usual, dealing with technical difficulties as we were trying to get on today. But if you guys can just do a brief intro of who you are so that everybody else can meet and get to know each other. And we just lost Sam, but maybe she's coming back. Hold on, Magic, watch this. Okay, she'll come back. But in the meantime, Scott, since you were here first, why don't you start?
Hey, you guys, I am Scott Rose, the inspirationalnerd.com. And I am a keto health coach and a motivational speaker.
Yay. And you were episode number 40. So we just got to see you a couple weeks ago.
Like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah. So I'm glad that you were able to come back on. And so we were having a conversation about like the easy way to being healthy. And he was talking about keto. And I was like, do simple things. Meanwhile, my husband decides that he wants to start keto. And so now our fridge is stocked with all keto friendly foods because he tends to snack and he will snack easily if stuff is there. So we've been slowly getting rid of some of the carbs in our house. And so for lunch, I had olives and meat. So awesome. I'm like 50% or, maybe 30% keto. So we'll see how that goes. But I hope this doesn't mean that I lose weight. So thank you so much for being here, Scott. And then we'll go to Emily, who is episode 35.
Yes. Hey again. I am Emily Hicks-Rotella. I run my own consulting firm called Make Tech Work for You that is focused on positive data and technology culture at nonprofits and mission-driven organizations.
Yay! And we talked about making technology work for you. We talked all things technology, and it was such a great conversation. And I feel like Emily's my go-to, and if I need to figure out a way to pull data in a way that works for me. So we might have to talk a little bit more this month because in the Accountability Success Circle, we're talking about data as the theme and using data that will help you propel your personal goals and I guess maybe professional goals forward. So yay! So glad you're here again. And Samantha, Sam, I don't remember which one you like better, but go for it.
At this point, either one works. Hi, my name is Sam. I own Snuggle with Sam. I'm a professional cuddler, and I teach other cuddlers to start their practice and grow a sustainable business. And this has been one wild year for me, so I'm really excited to be here and talk about it.
Yay. And Sam was episode 3. So back then we had like a hugging challenge. We had to see who could hug more people. And I think I won just because I saw more people. And it was like really cold and it was February and it was awesome. Yeah. But I love your business because it's such a unique business that makes people feel so like warm and fuzzy inside. And so we'll talk about all of these things. And the purpose of this show, I did this last year with a handful of people, and we're doing it again because it's just so fun to a lot of the people that I know are from so many different circles. Like all 3 of you I've met from different places, but I know that there's also connections between the two. And, it's a great way for me to get my co-hosts to come back, because I'm trying to just have people come on the show for that one conversation so I can spread the love to as many people as possible. But having this show brings everybody an opportunity to come back. I like doing it at this time of the year because we get to reflect on what's happened this year, and then just share, kind of the stuff that we're working on and what we have coming ahead in 2020, a new decade, and all of that. So I know that there was not a lot of prep for this show, so people are kind of coming in blind and like, what is Apryl going to say? But this year, I wanted to do the reflection in a way that just allows us to reflect from different perspectives, but taking a look back at the year. And I thought what a fun way would be to do this is to take some of my top values and reflecting on the year in that way, and just sharing what we've done. So I'm going to just call you guys out on and who to go first, and I'll mix it up a little bit. But the first question that I wanted to ask, because usually we think about the things that we've done in the year, is to ask you what your biggest accomplishment has been of 2019. And I'm going to go backwards this time. So Sam, I'm going to have you go first. What has been your biggest accomplishment of 2019?
Oh man. My biggest accomplishment of 2019. So it involves a bit of a story, so I'm going to try to keep it brief though. At the very beginning of this year, I actually tore my ACL and I was out for the count for about 4 months. And
Oh man.
I'd say that today was my biggest accomplishment, because I just came back from my surgeon follow-up and he says, you're at 80% capacity. You're right on target. You're doing great. No restrictions for activity, which meant that I could dance again.
Yay!
And do the things that I actually love and the physical things I enjoy. So like that was probably my biggest accomplishment, was coming back and also having a much better like routine for working out than I did before I was injured. So
Yes.
it's a weird blessing and surprise. So that would probably be my biggest accomplishment, is like really taking my health more seriously.
I love that. Yeah, and it doesn't need to be some crazy big accomplishment. I mean, that is a big accomplishment in itself, but sometimes people, at least a lot of people I know, they're like, oh, I didn't really have a big week, but I didn't think negatively, or and I'm like, that's a huge thing. That's a huge accomplishment. So awesome. I'm so glad that you're back and moving again. Emily, what is your biggest accomplishment of 2019?
All right. I want to share, like you said, when we first got on, that I quit my job, my full-time job, to work on my own business and change my side hustle into my full-time work. So I think that was a big mental jump, and I'm really excited about it. And also, I had set goals at the beginning of the year to improve my snowboarding, and I followed through on a lot of those. So that was also a big accomplishment.
I love it. And Emily has been talking about this idea of maybe quitting her job for the 2 years we've known each other. So it was so great. I don't remember when it is that you called me. And she's like, I finally did it. And then we got to see each other in October when I went to New York. So that was so fun. I still have to send you those pictures. So yay. All right, Scott, what is your biggest accomplishment of 2019?
Gosh, I think that probably I did something that I've been dreaming of doing for years and years and years, and I traveled through Europe for 4 months.
Yeah.
And I went to 15 different countries, and I just put all my stuff in storage back at home because I was moving out of an apartment, and I just put all my stuff in storage and just traveled Europe for 4 months and didn't even have a plan of where I was going to go. So it was just a spontaneous journey for 4 months, and it was incredible. And I've been waiting my whole life to do it, and I finally did it.
Yay. And I feel like you are still in that spontaneous mode, because I got to see you a couple months ago as well. Was it the week before I went to New York?
Right, yes.
And right before I went and got my tattoos and all that stuff. But I don't even know where you're at, and you're supposed to be moving to, or you're now road tripping your way to Canada somewhere?
Yeah, you bring up such a good point, because you're right. The follow-up to that is that when I came back to the US, I was actually about to buy a home in Austin, Texas, where I'd lived, for the last 9 years. And I decided to walk away from the deal because I wasn't done traveling yet. And so now I'm on a road trip and I'm relocating. So I'm driving through the US and I'm going to be relocating to Vancouver, Canada for a few months. And then I'll figure out where I want to go after that, or if I want to stay there for longer. But it's sort of triggered this whole thing in me, which is that, in a positive way, which is that, you know what, my job is virtual, my job is remote. I don't need to be settled down anywhere. I mean, I was working while I was traveling and it was totally fine. And I was like, this is what I want to do for a little while, for at least like 6 months or a year. I want to keep doing it.
Yes. So, yay, that's awesome. And he's coming back to Chicago. I'm just putting this out in the universe. He's going to come back to Chicago for my 40th birthday.
I will be there. I will be there for your big 40th birthday party.
All of you guys are invited, obviously, but I know that we'll have to make something happen. I don't even know what I'm doing for my birthday yet. So, awesome. So many accomplishments. I should probably share mine. I don't even know. I started thinking about what my biggest accomplishment was, but I think ultimately, I think my biggest accomplishment is that I have allowed myself to start doing less, and have gotten settled in that routine, because I was always in this place of, having all these ambitious ideas, and then I'd kind of get started on them, but then I wouldn't finish. And then I'd be like, okay, I always finish everything. So I'd be kind of backlogged forever. And so one of the things that I felt backlogged in coming into this year was that I wanted to do an audiobook version of my book, which was then released in March. And then I had signed up for a body language training in 2018 that I could have done in about 6 or 7 weeks, and I got it done in a year and a half. But I didn't add anything new to my plate since then. And so I'm really excited about 2020, which we'll talk about later, because I almost feel like I don't have that many obligations, and I've whittled my obligations down to some really, really solid few. So yay for accomplishment, everyone. All right, so that was my first value accomplishment. Here's the next one. We're talking about...
Can I ask you a question or no?
Yeah.
Your body language course, was that how to read other people's body language or how to say things with your own body?
Both. So we can talk about that, because I know that you talked about something that you wanted, and I know it's a lot of like nice helpful tips. So I was able to figure out how to read signals, how to send signals, and then how to spot lie detection, which is super fun. The lie detection is the hardest piece of it all, but it's like now I lie differently, and now I can use that as a weapon to be like, don't lie to me, because I know what you're doing, or I can figure it out. So, all right. So value number 2 is fun. What is the most fun thing you did in 2019? And I'm gonna start for this one. I'll just keep on like going in circles or whatever. But the most fun thing that I did in 2019, and I totally forgot about this. I had so many fun things, because obviously this is one of my values, but So I think the first thing that came to my mind was going to a John Mayer concert, because I love John Mayer, and standing in the front row. But I totally forgot about the fact that the first 2 months of 2019, I was auditioning for $100,000 Pyramid, which was such a delightful surprise. I didn't make it on the show, but that's totally fine. I kind of made it to like the final stages and then got cut at the very end. But that was fun to, be working towards something that could have made me a ton of money and just given me this opportunity to be on TV, which is just like a fun thing to do. It isn't like my lifelong dream, but it was super fun. But that was definitely one of my fun things. I'm going to go to Emily. What was your most fun thing that you did in 2019?
I had a ton of list things I came up with, and they're like, some of them were just the other day, like, what was fun this week? I had a ton of fun working with clients on projects and coaching this year. Like I said earlier, I had a lot of fun snowboarding by myself and with my brother and with other folks and with my daughter. We went to Disney another time with the family. And then honestly, I just went recently to the Liberty Science Center with my kids, and that's in New Jersey. And I went to it growing up as a kid, and I thought, when you go back to a place as an adult, it's like a lot smaller, maybe a little disappointing, when you go back. And it was way bigger and more magical than I could have even remembered. So
Love it.
Great location.
I got to check that out too. We're still looking for places to take our kids. Okay, who do I want to go next? Sam, I'll have you go next.
Sure. So I completely forgot about this with the greatest accomplishments portion, but I took a facilitator training program in circling, which is an authentic relating games modality.
Ooh.
And it was for about 7 months, and we just met every other month for an entire weekend. And I had so much fun just being with the different people in that community. And one of my favorite people was actually, he primarily does 85% of the food that he gets is foraged, dumpster diving, or like he went and got it in the wild himself. And I'm just like so impressed with everything, how he managed to feed the entire group just by going to like Aldi and dumpster diving and finding like salmon that was going to expire in 2 days and cooking it up and making an amazing meal, or like sauteing mushrooms that he foraged in the forest. And I'm just like, this
Oh
is
my
so
God.
cool. Like, this is totally like not something I've done before. And it's just so fascinating. And I loved getting into their worlds and like experiencing that. And also he was a really good pet cook, so I got some really good food out of it too.
I
It
love
was
that.
such a great experience to meet these people though.
Yay. Well, the beauty of the fact that we're reflecting in 4 different ways is that if you forget something, I mean, there should have been more than one thing that's happened, but we get to kind of talk about it too. All right, Scott, what was the most fun thing you did?
You know,
You're going to be like, it's Europe again.
I know, exactly. I'm trying to think outside of the Europe tour, because that was 4 months of fun.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I think one of the most fun things that I did, and I did it multiple times in the years, I had multiple board game nights throughout the night with my close friends in Austin. And those were just incredible. You know, it's funny how sometimes just the simplest, littlest things can be so much fun. Those
Yeah.
are nights where we were just laughing and laughing endlessly until all hours of the morning. Like, those are probably like my favorite memories of the whole year.
That's awesome.
And one game, and we play all of these cool like the modern classic games like, you know, Settlers of Catan and games like that. But the one that is our favorite is called Secret Hitler. And it is have you played this, Samantha?
No, but I'm like definitely putting it on my list.
I have.
You have it?
Fun?
Yeah, I'm terrible at it.
Oh my God, it's a lying game. If you've ever played Werewolf, it's like a lying game. Is it not the most hilarious game?
Yeah, you can't trust anybody.
You can't trust anybody.
Oh my God.
So many emotions flying. There's really not much to the game except you have to be a good liar.
That's why I lose all the time, because I'm a terrible liar.
I'm a terrible liar too. Oh my God. Wait, can you play with a lot of people?
It plays up to 10 people.
Okay.
So it's a big party game.
Okay.
And normally my game nights go from like, I don't know, 7 p.m. till midnight, but every single time, and we did this 4 different occasions that we played Secret Hitler, the game nights went from 7 at night until the sun came up at 6:30 in the morning.
Oh my God.
That's how much people loved this game. No one wanted to leave. My friends might be crazy, but which is fine. But
I love it. I'm buying it. Okay, that's happening.
I'll
Okay.
teach it to you at your. We should play it at your party.
Oh yeah, definitely. But hopefully there'll be more than 10 people.
Hopefully there'll be more than 10.
Okay. Well, we're gonna take a quick break from the reflections because I'm realizing that I want to make sure that we get a photo, and those of you who are watching, you're gonna have to just deal with this really quick. So we're gonna do just a one-shot opportunity to make the thumbnail of this video, so you guys who are watching get to see how this works. So I don't know, just do whatever you want. You can smile, you can make faces or whatever, but it's gonna start in 5 seconds. Okay, ready, set, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I'll show you what that is later. Okay, hopefully that worked out okay. Okay, resuming. Okay, so my third value, top value, is the idea of connection. So I asked what exciting connections, it could be a personal or business connection or just anything, and it could be like a close connection or just even like a passerby type of connection. But what exciting personal connections did you make in 2019? I'm gonna have Emily go first.
Okay. Most recently, I just had a really good day, like afternoon with my sister-in-law, and I really want to connect with her, and we had a great day of connection. So that's like a personal one.
Yeah.
But I also met my, like, I don't know, the other half of myself, my soulmate in data nerdiness for nonprofits. Her name is Samantha Shane, and she runs a blog called The Data Are All Right. Fantastic person. I cannot gain enough like inspiration from her and her writing. So and we did a webinar together on change-making mindsets for using data and technology for mission-driven work. So we are very aligned in our work, and it was pretty incredible, just a cold outreach to her, and now we've become collaborators.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that. Yay. Okay, Scott, personal connections, business connections. What cool connections did you make this year?
I think that for me, it goes back to the Europe traveling again. The most amazing thing was on my trip, I met all sorts of new people. But the coolest thing, the best connections were that I reconnected with old friends that I hadn't seen in years. So I had 10 different reunions on my journeys with old friends, and most of them I had not seen in anywhere between 10 and 16 years. Mostly because, they lived in Europe, and, I don't get over there that often. And it was unbelievable to reconnect with all these 10 old friends again that I had not seen in at least a decade. It was amazing how it felt like time had not even passed, because we were such good buddies back a long time ago. Most of them lived in the US at one point, which is when I met them. And reconnecting again, it was like we just picked up right where the friendships left off. It was incredible.
Oh, I love that. Oh, yay. This is making me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And Sam?
Oh, this is a tough one because there's so many good connections that I made. I think the best one, it was actually one that started at the end of last year. I had met somebody through a cuddle forum, and we just ended up like commenting on the same stuff online together. We found out we're relatively around the same age. We decided we probably wouldn't work professionally, but like he was just like, hey, can we at least sit and chat and like have a burger? And I was open to it. And it turned out that like we're really good friends now. Like my friend Will out in New Jersey, every time I go out to Philadelphia, because I go out there every so often to do work out there, I try to meet up with him, and we still text back and forth and give support to each other. And it's like it really was grounding for me to be like, even though I don't live there, it's nice that I can have a friendship that's like not like right around the corner from me, and we can still keep that connection. So I really appreciated building that friendship with Will, and outside of my like inner circle of people within walking distance, because I get too into that very quickly. So that was probably one of the more beautiful connections I had this year.
Yay. And then for me, in terms of connection, I think a lot about this year has been a lot of getting regrounded into music. And I used to sing in high school, and I played the piano forever. And I've been learning ukulele for the last 6 months, which has been super, super fun. But when I think about a lot of the connections that I made, a lot of the stuff that I did socially was around music. And so my favorite music memory was I went to New York and I saw the show Freestyle Love Supreme, which is like a improvised freestyle rap hip hop show. And they have different, it's kind of like an improv show meets a musical. It's like my biggest dream. Right. And so, they ask for suggestions from the crowd, and then they just go into like freestyle form rap, and it's awesome. And I've never really had the chance to, stay after at a Broadway show and try to meet the cast and all that stuff. But I was alone, and I decided to wait, and it was freezing outside, but I was like just on cloud nine. And one of the people who was in the original Broadway cast from Hamilton, which is like my ultimate favorite musical as of this year. He was in the show, and I was able to ask him to like do a quick recording for my kids, because my kids love him, and because he played George Washington. And so I just talked to him, got to take pictures with the entire cast as well, but like he was able to like say hello to my kids on a video, and like my son was like crying. He's like, my biggest dream came true. And it was just like so cute, because it was like it was just like putting that effort in that, and the fact that he was probably like, oh, okay. But then he like was very graceful to like give me that extra time after I had already asked him to take a picture and like give me his autograph, to do that for me. So that just meant a lot to me. So yay for connection, you guys. All right. One more thing to reflect on in 2019. Authenticity is my fourth and final top value. I had almost struggled with like how to answer this question, but this is more about what you did in this past year to embrace your authentic self. And this could be something that was part of your plan for the year or something that was more exploratory. I'll kind of leave it open. And who do I want to go first? Scott, I'm going to have you go again first.
Okay, cool. I think that, outside of the same thing that I've been saying, which is embracing sort of the adventurous side of myself, which I haven't embraced as much in the past, I believe that this year I really tried to have more authentic conversations with people, particularly on difficult topics.
Mm-hmm.
Like one example that sort of pops up in my head is I met with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and I really wanted to talk about like why things didn't work out. And I apologized, excuse me, I apologized for the things that I did wrong in the relationship. She apologized for some things she did wrong. And it was an incredibly authentic conversation that we did not have when the relationship was dissolving. And it was really like, it really brought a lot of closure. And I went on to have like authentic, like sort of conversations like that with other people as well. And it was really like freeing and very, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it was very peaceful to really dig deep into the authentic conversations and just like explore those very deep topics.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think it's also hard sometimes to, it gets easier as we get older, where we can start having that voice from the beginning, and we naturally will attract the people who, can embrace that voice from the start. And, sometimes when you're in a relationship, you're always in this place where, it's like you want to impress the other person. And so you might do things that might be out of your ordinary. But then sometimes that can also lead to, perceptions that might not be like, oh, this is the real thing. Or, you might be more willing to do things that you don't want to do at the start of a relationship than at the, towards the, either when you've gotten settled or after you've gotten out of it. And so I totally get that. But I think, having those, being able to speak your voice is definitely part of that authenticity conversations. I love that. Awesome. Okay, Sam, I'm going to you next.
Yeah. I've been trying to think about this one because this is something that's been on my mind too, on like how I've been showing up as my authentic self. And I think for me, it's around actually a goal that I had set for myself this year, which was like, I felt more grounded into like who I am and like where I'm going to. In the sense that like, I think in the past, like I have a tendency to like people please or like try to do all the things all at the same time, or like run around in like 10 different directions, trying to do a little bit of everything and not really get anything done. And I mean, I kind of got forced into that because I literally couldn't move for a while. So that was definitely like a weird, like I wanted to be grounded, but this wasn't what I had in mind moment. But as I like started to even gain mobility, I was like, I can move more, but I don't want to move the same way that I did before. I want to show up in a different way. So it was quite an experience to really see that like, I don't want to be the person going to all the events all the time and forget the rest of my schedule, which was something I had a tendency to do, was just like, oh, if something's happening, I need to go. And instead I was like very grounded into like, okay, what's my purpose right now? What am I doing? How am I moving forward? Do I have room for this? And like constantly like evaluating like what's coming to me and if I want that or not. And sometimes it meant people were really angry, and I'm actually okay with that. I was like, okay, well, that anger is because that anger is theirs, and that's not necessarily my responsibility. So it's more like taking more responsibility for what is mine.
Yeah.
and less of other people's stuff too. So that felt really good and, well, grounding.
Yeah.
Best way I can put it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely like a huge power in being able to, be at choice. I always talk about this especially with my clients, because a lot of times, especially if you're the type of person who just loves to make other people happy, it's like you want to make decisions that will light them up. But then when you start realizing that you're forgetting about your own stuff and, making yourself happy, then it becomes this like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And so being able to take control of that and understanding that, some people might not, they may be conditioned to whatever you used to do before. Like one of the things that I let go of this year is I'm always the one who is like the instigator for planning, because I'm so good at it. And I stopped. I made plans for the things that I wanted to do, but I just decided, like if I reach out and they don't reach back out to me, I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to do this follow-up sequence that I do with all of my friends. Like, hey, we're supposed to get together. And sadly, that's meant that some of my best friends, like I haven't seen in a year. And I just actually sent a text message to my girlfriend, who the last time we talked was like, we've texted like throughout, but the last time we saw each other was right around her birthday last year, which is like 2 days ago. So I'm like, it's been a year. This is like really bad, but I hope you're okay. So it was hard to do, but it's also very freeing, because then I was able to actually get some other stuff done, and that made me feel good too. So totally hear that. How about you, Emily?
Yeah. Going back to the first question, when I told my manager that I was leaving, what I said was that this had been a great experience for me, but the work that I was doing on the side was just making me so much more happy and bringing me more joy. So leaning into that and acknowledging what I want to do, and having faith that it will be what I can use to support myself and my family. So I feel like that's living authentically. And then not that I said anything to any of you about this before this webinar, and I'm not doing this with fanfare, but to truly answer this, I have to say I recently have been changing the way that I present my pronouns to people and using the plural pronouns. And I think that's been a lot of like searching and identity work on myself over the last couple of months. And it feels good to start on that journey of using those different pronouns and talking to people about it.
Yes. So what pronouns are you going by, just so that I know that I can make sure that I do that?
Yeah, of course. And it's a tough transition, but I'm just using plural, like they, them, their.
They, them. Okay, awesome. Yay. That's awesome. Yay. Championing that. I have to answer this too, right? Did I answer that yet? Oh, okay, I didn't. So one of the things that I know that I shared this with my audience and whatnot is the fact that I have now 3 tattoos on my body, which has been something that I've been thinking about doing, but very scared to do, because it's such a permanent mark on your body. But to have my values on my arms, and then to have Cheerful AF on my back, having to break that to my mom, which I totally did in a roundabout way. I made my kids tell her, which was really, really funny. But it's totally the way that I would do it, knowing that she would have probably been upset otherwise, and we would have gotten into a fight. So now I totally avoided that, and everyone's laughing about it now. But that was just one of the statements. And I know that I'm turning 40 next year, which is a huge milestone, right? It's a new decade. And I want to make sure that I'm embracing who I am. And this has always been a journey for me in the last 5 years to be authentic. So I think that I've been slightly more and more opinionated about things where I usually tend to just walk away. So it's still a work in progress, but things like when people are having a political conversation that is heated, that I don't want to be a part of, I will, like, instead of just walking away, I'll be like, and that's my cue to leave, because it's just kind of putting that stake in the ground to say, like, I don't want to engage in this conversation. And it's not that I don't love you, but that's my cue to leave, because I'm more happy by abstaining from having conversations that just don't light me up. But I'm not judging you on your desire to do that. So those are the big things that I've been making a lot of headway in. But I would say that the biggest way to embrace my authenticity was to mark my body, which is kind of crazy, but I'm so happy that I did it. Yay. All right. So this has been an amazing year for all of us. I think we've had a ton of fun. We've had a lot of really great connections with people. We've done some amazing things. I want to start shifting our way to looking forward. But before I do that, one of the things in my process that I do when I'm planning for my future or, the upcoming year is that I create annual themes. And I've been doing this for this will be my 4th year having an annual theme. But did any of you guys have annual themes? Emily, I know you did. But Emily, what were yours?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I choose like the 3 words. I think it's similar to the annual theme.
Yeah.
So wait, am I answering for 2019 or for 2020?
2019 right now.
Okay. For 2019, my 3 words were learn, lift, and launch.
Awesome.
And that had a lot to do with launching my business and launching myself into the air on a snowboard and learning about how to do all these things.
Yes. And then mine were resilient, courage, and wealth, which you probably have seen a lot of those themes show up in some of the things that I said that I did this year. Scott or Sam, did you guys have anything like annual themes or anything like that?
Yeah, so what I usually do is I have a word and I call it like, I want this to be the year of blank. So this past year, the word was the year of grounded, which, right from the get-go, I did pretty well, but overall,
literally.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I would say like, I try to keep it a little bit more broad because oftentimes halfway through the year, that word ended up showing up in a different way than I anticipated, which is what ended up happening in my case. I definitely showed up both in like how I physically move, how I socialize, how I give my energy to other people in conversation, much like what you were talking about. So it was like, I wouldn't have anticipated all of that, or even just like the speed that I move through my business. Even I was like, this is not as big of a rush as I'm making this out to be. So like, it definitely felt a lot more stable and grounded through that. So I would say I hit the mark for that.
Yeah. And I think we lost Emily. Are you okay? Are you still there?
Oh yeah, I'm still on the line.
Okay.
You're launching off into the universe right now.
Scott, do you do annual themes or anything?
Gosh, you know what? I don't, but now I should.
I'll help you put that together.
Thank you so much. Looking back at last year, I would say definitely it was a year of transformation for me and for the people that I worked with.
Yeah.
Because I helped people go through major health transformations. And then I went through major transformations myself. I ended my old business of 30 years to start my new health coaching business. And I decided to leave Austin and I decided to go on that trip. So transformations for me and the people I worked with. So in retrospect, I would have to say that my word was transformation.
I love it.
But I don't have one yet for next year. So I'm going to work with you on.
Okay, cool. And I'm going to have you go last then on this because I wonder if everybody else has their stuff. So Emily, I'm going to start with you. For this part, we're looking forward to 2020. I want you to feel free, take some time to share the awesome things that you've got lined up already in your plan for 2020. If you have anything, since you are running your own business, anything that you'd like to share or promote or just bring awareness to, this is an awesome space for you to do that. And I think that's it. And if you have themes for 2020 already too.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for the whole conversation and everyone else I got to meet on today's conversation and for a platform also to talk about what we're working on. So my themes for 2020 are values, vision, and vulnerable. And it is about being open to helping others and setting vision for them. So in that line, what I've got coming up. So I am planning on doing some regular webinar series that are around my approach to helping people learn and use and love technology and data. And that plus anything else I'm doing can be found on my website, maketechworkforyou.com. I'm going to be posting there, and you can get on my newsletter there. And I'm going to be opening up my calendar to be taking calls for organizations that need a little extra help, more like an embedded team member. So that's kind of smaller nonprofits that don't have a tech team or don't have a dedicated executive team member for technology or data and want to get started or know that there's potential. And I would love to help themselves get there.
I love that. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And just so you guys know, I'm going to post a whole bunch of, information in the video after the fact, if it's not already there already. But just know that I am all about promoting my favorite people. So you guys are going to see a little bit more of Emily and Scott and Sam and everybody else as I'm going to just go into promotion mode next year. So just to make sure that everybody's getting what they need, because I have so many friends who have such amazing brilliance. And so that's great. Yay, Emily. That's awesome. Emily, I need to have you do a webinar for the ASC too. We got to do that in 2020.
Emily, I love how you do the alliteration with your themes for the year. I love that.
It started with the first year, and then it just happened that way. And then for the last 4 years, I've just kept with it.
That's awesome. And a great way to remember your themes easily for the year too.
Yes, in fact, thank you for pointing that out, Scott. I was thinking about this the other day, that now that my first letter in my words this year are V, I want it also to be like victory. It's a victory year.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, Sam, what's going on in your world for 2020?
Oh man, this is actually really well timed because I just started planning stuff out with my coach and for myself to be like, what do I want next year to look like? Yes. So one big thing that I'm doing is I'm relaunching my main course, Sam Snuggle School, because it's severely out of date at this point because my field just keeps improving and evolving so fast. So I'm like, oh gosh, I gotta keep up with this and make sure I'm teaching relevant information and actually helping people. So I'm relaunching that at the beginning of the year. Awesome. And I'm also going to have a complimentary membership course to go with that too. So I'm actually looking forward to being able to actually hold myself to creating content regularly, which is really scary because I don't usually do that. I'm just like, oh, I feel like creating all this like right now. Good. So that's going to be a little bit of a different take. I'm going to be doing a lot more dancing because I didn't get to do as much this year. So I now have a couple friends that have been like very much so like, here, come to these events with us. And I'm like, I need to add this into my schedule a little bit better. And this is a little bit more premature, but it's something that like my boyfriend and I have been talking about because I didn't mention this part. We actually moved in together this year. And we're looking into where we would buy a house possibly. So that's something we'll be starting to look into, whether it's Boston, Philly, or like going somewhere else. We're not really sure yet, but like we have a pretty good idea. Like we should probably think about like getting a place that's ours soon.
Oh, that's congratulations.
Thank you. If you watch this, he's gonna be like, "What? You said what?"
But intentions out.
He's like, you were supposed to talk about that. I'll be like, no, we're talking about it. But yeah. So with all that in mind, for me, it feels like this is the year of like. I'm trying to find the right word. Like build doesn't seem right. Rebuild doesn't seem perfectly great either. And sprout was one that was up there, but I'm like, that's not a great fit. I think it's just going to be the year of improve. Yeah. The year of improve feels good to me. Yeah.
Well, if you change your mind, there's still time. But that's great. All right, Scott, are you ready?
Oh gosh, I don't know for sure. I love Emily's idea of doing words that all start with the same letter. I think love will be a big theme for me this year, to keep embarking on loving relationships with people, with friends, and possibly new lovers. I'm single right now, but also love in the sense of only doing things that I love doing and not doing anything anymore that feels like it's just something that I begrudgingly am doing.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason I switched my whole career. So I think that love is going to be an overarching theme of next year.
Yeah. I love that. Do you have anything that you want to share in terms of what you've got going on in your business, or just in case people need to look for you and all that stuff too?
Oh, yes, you can. I do keto health coaching. And I help people lose all of their excess weight and reverse their irreversible diseases. And I had tremendous, tremendous success In my first year, I coached 8 people through losing a total of 500 pounds,
Wow.
which will never come back again. 2 of those people completely reversed their diabetes. One of them reversed his, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank now. He reversed one of these major health issues that he was going through. I'm drawing a blank with the stress of the YouTube live. But yeah, and I've had all these smaller successes too, just like little things being eliminated for people as well, like their gut issues going away, their IBS going away, their acne, their allergies, their asthma. It's been an incredible year. And so I just want to get the word out to people that it's so easy to fix our health issues. And it all comes down to just what we put in our mouth and when we put it in our mouth. And that's it. So my website is theinspirationalnerd.com, because I'm the inspirational nerd.
Yay. Gotta love nerds.
Yay.
Awesome. Yay. And Sam, I don't know if you said your website.
Yes.
Say it again, but I'll have it down in the stuff too. But
sure. It's snugglewithsam.com.
Snugglewithsam.com. That's so good. I need to respond to this question too. So this year, 2020, this coming year, is I usually have 2 themes. My first theme is creative confidence, because there's been a lot of, I've been doing a lot of personal work over the last few years, and I have embraced it, and I have really dug deep. And I feel like I'm at a place where, nothing, it's never perfect, but I feel like I'm at a year where I don't know if there's like a rebellion coming or something like that, but there's this piece of me that like really wants to make my own choices and not like double think them. I don't know if I can completely do that, but I think that I've had a lot of support in so many different ways that I would always like kind of wait on a final decision by just like checking in with my coach and seeing like, do you agree with this? But I've been noticing myself kind of make decisions without having to depend on her as much. So I'm actually working with my coach on a lower commitment level than I have been over the last 3.5 years, which is exciting. And so that's making me happy, but she's still going to be there on my journey and is going to support me. It's kind of funny because I'm seeing her kind of support me in the way that I like supporting my clients, which is like very flexible and all that. So I've really, really appreciated that. But I kind of want to embody this confidence that's kind of the ultimate goal of where I want to be. I want to feel super confident in what I do, whether or not it's right or it's perfect. And I also want to be more creative. And I think that there's a lot of my personal creativity that I in my life have kind of minimized because I'm like, I got to do X, Y, Z. And so I want to help brainstorm different ways to do things that, one of the things that's coming up in my mind is that like the way that people promote themselves in the online space has gotten so saturated, and I want to do different stuff. And me and my business partner, Gary, have been kind of thinking of different ways to promote the work that we do together by like doing something that's completely out of the norm. And so that's the one side. So just trying to do things that allow me to tap more into creativity and doing things differently and helping people that I serve do things differently and feel excited and empowered in that way. But the second theme is expansion. And this part is twofold. And I just wrote a newsletter about it. So like it's still fresh in my mind. But one of the things that I noticed in 2019 and just the last few years is that I know that I'm the type of person who loves to do a whole bunch of things. I dabble in so many different things, and it's always been filling my cup. But I think in terms of my business, it's almost been a little bit of a detriment just because people are like, they don't even know how to explain what I do. And I went through a huge process this whole year of trying to be comfortable with explaining what I do because there's so much. And so I want to expand, but I think if that means, I want to expand financially or just my networks or just the amount of people that I impact, that's something that I want to focus on because I have always been the type of person who believes that personal development should be accessible to everybody, because if we want our world to be a happier place, people who can't afford to, pay for private coaching, like those might be some of the people who can really help make major shifts in that area. And so I want to focus more on being more accessible, being in growing in that. And so I'm actually only going to focus on 2 main projects moving forward, even though I have like body language training and I have a book and I have all of these things and I can do public speaking and I can be a professional MC and all of these things. I'm going to double down on 2 things. One is going to be the Accountability Success Circle, which is a program that I've been running for 2 years, and I've been co-running it with Gary Ware of Breakthrough Play, who's also a Cheerful Conversations alum. We are going to, we've moved to a new platform that's outside of existing social media so that we can open the doors to everybody. I'm actually going to invite, I didn't tell everybody this yet, but those of you who have, because the program was more focused on higher levels of support, but I'm going to open it to lower levels of support as well, so that I can have a bigger community and impact more people. But I'm going to invite everybody who is on Cheerful Conversations to join the community in the coming couple weeks, once I get some things nailed down, so that you guys can see and help me grow this thing, because I know I can't do it alone. Gary and I can't do it alone. So that's one of the things that we're going to be focusing on to expand. I'm super excited about that. So lots of stuff is going to happen in that starting in January. But the second piece is I've been talking about my desires to change media, and I might not necessarily change it, but I want to create a more positive space, because everybody I talk to talks about how they don't watch as much TV because there's so much negativity, or they don't watch the news. And there's a lot of things that are more conflictual. And I think that that's a function of how our media has evolved. But I want to, I want to explore some media projects on my own to do, but I also want to create a space that has a media component to my company where, it's more inclusive and it's more open-minded and it's more positive. So there will be news, there will be comedy, there will be dramatic, positive stuff with learnings at the end, or, just, podcasts or whatever that is. But I want to create a collection of media that people can come to and have all the good feels. So expanding that, this is a brand new project, so I'm at the very beginning, but I'm going to expand my communication with people. I'm literally cleaning up all of my social media and having one-on-one reach outs to every single person that I'm connected to help me figure out what Cheerful Mind Media is going to be all about. But that's another way to kind of expand my reach to infuse more positivity and cheerfulness into the world. So I know that was super long-winded, but that's what's coming for 2020 for me. But I hope, and I know that we're starting to wrap up, and I'm going to just get ready to do some final thoughts. But I, first of all, wanted to share with you guys, thank you so much for being here today with me and spending another hour with me. I am so grateful for our friendship and our partnership. And if there's anything that I can do at any time to help promote you, what you're doing, introduce you to people that you need to have in your life, I'm more than willing to help you with that. And we'll make that my life mission to make sure that our relationship is solid and feeling authentic and connected. And then I just want to wrap up, and maybe we'll just go one last round backwards in the order of people that came on today, to just share just a big takeaway or any sort of words of wisdom that you have for the audience that might be watching this. So Sam, I'm going to start with you.
Words of wisdom for the audience. I'd probably say, take your time. There is no rush. That's it.
I love that. Thank you. Emily, any words of wisdom? Final thoughts?
Yeah, this is going to be so dorky and nerdy. I've got 2 of them, I guess. One is sign on before the webinar to work out your tech issues. Most things can be fixed by turning your computer off and on again.
I love it. Yes, that is always so. Before you ever even start to talk to customer service, turn your computer or device on and off again, because that might save you a lot of potential frustration. Scott, reflections and words of wisdom?
some words of wisdom. I would say give yourself permission to change, that you are under no obligation to be the same person tomorrow that you were yesterday. You know, no matter what everyone around you thinks or says that you have to be, you can be whatever you want to be, just within, you know, whatever you feel that you want to be. Go down that path.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Awesome. All right, you guys, I think let's let me do one more thing because this is super fun. I have this random deck of cards, so this is about as woo as I can get. I was exploring a lot of like tarot and you know, the spiritual world or whatever that is last year, but I bought these cards. It's kind of like a tarot deck, but it's called the Rebel deck. And I do this when I have our the ASC has integrity days. We'll take a break and I'll be like, let's think about what is our mantra for today, or what the tarot cards or the Rebel deck says to us. So I'm gonna. Does anyone want to volunteer to choose? Since I can't have you like pick. Yeah. I have 4 different colors of cards. I've got orange, blue, pink, and purple. I'll pick one, and that will be like kind of our just going purple.
Yeah, like do that one.
This will be kind of like messaging of like kind of going into the last couple weeks of this decade of 2019 or whatever. Just some final words of wisdom from somebody else other than us, from the Rebel Gods. So we said purple. Okay. This one's speaking to me right here.
Wait, April, didn't you have any words for us?
Oh, words of wisdom. I thought I said.
Oh yeah.
But okay. Oh my God. Words of wisdom. I'm like, I see what's on the Rebel deck, which is going to be like totally just, okay, so now I have to think of something else because this is pretty much my words of wisdom. But I think one of the things is that a lot of what we see in the world, you know, can make us feel like we're not enough or that we have to do more. And it can be really, really frustrating. But I think that there's this idea of like, you are amazing and you are a celebrity in your own right. You don't need to be on TV. You don't need to like have all the accolades. You don't have to have the most money or the most connections. Like, you have all the tools to be amazing. And if you can just learn to embrace that, then there's so much power in that. And if you need the external validation, then call me, because I will give you all the validation that you need, because you are all amazing people. And one last thing too, if you are somebody who's watching this and is like, interested in being on Cheerful Conversations, I've opened up the calendar for 2020. You don't have to have any expertise or anything, because you already have all the expertise that you need, but just to have a fun conversation about an inspiring topic, that's also an option. But all right, final words of wisdom. This is from the Rebel deck. There's 2 sides. So I'm going to read the first one, which is something that I always say all the time, which is you do you. This is our words of wisdom for 2020.
Awesome.
And then on the back it says, stop trying to change people. That shit never works. It's a little bit blurry, but
awesome.
This is such a great way to end this, because this is like literally, I have like little tattoos that say you do you. I think that's on my phone. Oh my God, look, you do you.
Awesome.
That's why when I pulled it, I was like, dang it, I need to get creative and make up a new one. So anyways, thank you guys so much. Stay on for just a second so that I could just say bye really quick, but we're going to say bye to everybody on YouTube world and the internet. So bye everyone. Thanks for coming. Cheerful Conversations episode 42 is in 2 weeks. It'll be released on Christmas Day, and I know that people won't watch it live, but it's okay. So see you guys then. Bye.
Bye.